Welcome back to Acreage Adventures, where today we're building this shed. Now, why are we building a shed? Well, if you don't know, I like to grow a giant pumpkin every year, and actually this year things are going quite well. However, I don't have a place to put my fertilizers and chemicals, and right now I typically mix them in this ICBC tote. But as you can see in this picture, I'm covering all of my chemicals with a tarp. So, we thought we'd do a challenge where, with only a couple $1,000s worth of tools, can I build this shed? Okay, that was a bad joke. Let's start with the video. So first step, obviously, of any video is getting materials, and I actually did a pretty good job, I want to say, on this project of actually measuring everything that I needed, drawing it all out on a piece of paper, and then properly and buying almost all of the materials on my first try. So congratulations to me, because that almost never happens. The most fun part of any of these projects is almost always the framing. So you can see this is like a 12-minute long video, and the framing should feel like it should take a long time of it, maybe half the project, something like that. You know, it feels like such a big deal to get all the framing together, and it's super satisfying once it's all there and framed in the right height and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, it's always like maybe 20% of the actual project. So I started this on a Friday afternoon. I think I cut out of work a little bit early, maybe 3:30, something like that. And then you can see Steph starts helping me because she's actually home, because she dropped the kids off because we're going to see a movie at 6:15. So in between like 3:30 and 5:30, only like a couple of hours, I completely framed this shed. It's the next day now, and we're on to one of my least favorite parts of building something, and that's trying to get those bird's mouth cuts done for the roof framing and rafters. And now, I'm really good at math, okay? I am a chemical engineer, got a master's degree, I work in banking, I am a CFA charter holder, and I really did try this time to measure and get these cuts correct on the first try. Now, to my credit though, when I was buying materials, I did buy one extra 2x4x8 because I knew I was going to mess it up on my first try. But I really tried, and I still didn't quite get this cut right on my first try. I don't know if it's something about the thickness of the board I'm not taking into account, you know what I mean? Like I'm doing the angles, but anyway, the distance never quite works, so I had to take it up there, test it, notice it was wrong, remeasure it, do a new board. But anyway, I did eventually do it. Second try, got it good enough, used that second board as a template, got all the roof rafters. Now we move on to painting the sheathing. So when you're doing the sheathing, you actually have a couple different options, but I almost always end up with this, what Home Depot calls Smart Side product. And it's just because I'm a little bit lazy. So typically when you're doing something like this, you sheath it with a piece of plywood or OSB, and then you go and put your actual external, your vinyl siding or whatever on after it. But you know, the reason I keep buying this product is even though it's a bit expensive, it's one step. So in most applications, they say that you can actually apply the sheathing directly on the framing, and if you look at you see the inside of it, you'll notice like the inside's almost like OSB on its own. So it's kind of already got the plywood on it and the external side on it. So it just, instead of one step, instead of two steps, it ends up being one step. And then pricing wise, it kind of works out anyway. So anyway, that's what we're putting on there. And I like to paint it. So I'm painting here early because I just hate painting. I hate all of the prep work. I hate all taping everything. And so I decided I'm just gonna paint everything in advance and then cut it to shape and size. But then I don't have to get in all those nooks and corners and crevices and stuff, because I just really dislike that. So you can judge me all you want, but I painted it first, and it actually worked pretty well and made for an easier project for me. Now we move on to the roof, and as you see us finishing this roof, you'll see that there's a tiny little spot. The materials just didn't work out. I don't know how that happened. I was pretty convinced that I was going to be able to buy exactly 3 pieces of 4x8 plywood or OSB and do the roof, but no big deal. We figured it out, got that in there, tiny little piece at the end, but whatever. Moving on to the doors, I will say I was watching other people's YouTube videos for inspiration, and I went pretty heavy duty. So these doors are 2x4 frames. They're gonna have a piece of 3/8 inch plywood on the back, and that's kind of all I was gonna do. But then I decided, oh, I should match it with the shed. So then I got some more of that smart side stuff, so I put that on the front, and then I ended up having to trim them as well. So by the time we put 2x4, 3/8 plywood, I don't know, another 1/2 inch worth of that smart side board, they were pretty heavy. I was able to lift them and get them around, but I don't think that my wife would have been able to. So anyway, this is one of those places I did go back to the hardware store. You see, I had to repaint, right? So I'm painting the new smart side. I just didn't expect to do that. I wasn't gonna put the smart side on it. I was just gonna do a door 2x4 with 3/8, but I did go back and bought some more, which is why I'm back to painting. Then we're on to my second least favorite part. I don't know, maybe it's worse. I don't know, it might be worse than the rafters. But anyway, the fascia. Working with this little metal, I don't know, 29 gauge, I think it is metal. It's just, I don't know. I gotta watch more YouTube videos or do something, just get more practice. I'm not sure, just buy some and cut it up. But it's always so hard, in my opinion, to get the corners and get it to fit perfect and all of that stuff. And if you make even one mistake, you dent the fascia, it never comes back out, right? It's just like, it's a permanent mistake. So yeah, don't look too close at the corners of the roof of my shed. But regardless, we got it up there. I'm pretty sure it's watertight. It'll be fine. New outfit for me must mean it was a new day, and this morning I decided that I really wanted to get the storage compartments in. So I made a pretty heavy duty design here. We're doing heavy fertilizers, like, you know, lots of 1 gallon things of pH down, or, you know, I don't know, 60 pounds worth of potash, you know, stuff like that. So this was also a design change. I was originally going to do shelving that was like 18 inches deep across the back of the shed, but the shed's only 3 feet deep, like outside to outside. So really didn't make enough sense to do that. I don't think, because you wouldn't get into the corners. So we're gonna do heavy duty stuff in the corners and stack all our fertilizers, heavy stuff, things like that. And then I'm gonna leave the middle section open, and I'm gonna probably put up something to hang things, so I can hang garden hoses, shovels, rakes, whatever. And I actually think this is a better design. I'm happy that I went this way instead of the other. So like I said earlier, you know, you frame the whole thing and you're like, yeah, I'm getting there. I'm almost done. Like, look, it looks like a shed. But you know what? You're not done. You're almost not at all done, because painting is such a pain. And so here we are again for more hours painting the trim. And we've already painted all the sheathing, but you know, it's not perfect. There's little gaps. You've got to put some trim around it. And so anyway, we bought big chunky trim just in case we had big mistakes. We didn't have that big of mistakes, but you know, we did. And anyway, yeah, we have to paint this now. And you know, this video sped up, I think 90 times the actual speed it took. So just ponder what maybe a minute or 90 seconds of painting is in real life, because yeah, it was a long time. Okay, finally putting doors on, and they're looking good. Pretty solid fit, and I like the way they match the shed. I think the design was the right choice. And fun story here, I actually thought I was giving a very generous gap on the doors when I measured and made them and put them in place. But as we can see, as I'm putting them in, I maybe had like 3 shingles thick distance between top and bottom left. Like, they are a very tight fit, and it makes it look like I really know what I'm doing. I definitely wasn't trying to do that. You know, if anybody's a golfer, you know, you're always aiming directly at the flag because, you know, you think you're the best, and we really shouldn't. And you know, that one time you decide, you know what, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm just going to aim the ball at the middle of the green, and then I'm just going to get it on there and make sure that I get it, and then I'll make my 2 putts, I'll make my par, and then you hit a bad shot and you actually push it and it goes right at the hole and it's right next to the hole. That's like what happened with these doors. I was in no way intending to get a fit this tight that looks this good. I was just aiming for the middle of the green and I messed up, and here we are with some really nice fitting doors. Now with the doors on, we're finally getting towards the home stretch on this project, and we're doing some roofing. I've never actually done shingles before. I've always kind of looked for metal. I don't know, something just more interesting, I think, as an option. But I was pricing it out, and like, this is just a shed. So there's nothing cheaper than shingles. And so we went with shingles. And, you know, I don't hate it, actually. I think it looks fine. I think it looks pretty good, actually. And now that I've done shingles, I get why people do it, because it's pretty easy to do and actually really satisfying. I don't know, just the way it all lines up and stuff feels really good as someone putting them on. So, you know, it didn't take that long. In the video, yeah, I guess it did maybe a couple of hours it took, but like in the grand scheme of things, getting all of the shingles on in a couple of hours really did feel like I accomplished something and felt good about it. Now we're on to the absolute last step and just dealing with the soffit on the front. I wasn't sure what I was going to do here, but you know, even the color, I almost painted it black, but I think this was the right choice. So we painted that the plywood that we're using as a soffit in the brown to match the rest of the shed, and then I got some little black trim pieces made, like really thin ones, just to cover that seam between the soffit and the sheathing. And yeah, it didn't take much and got her done. So here it is, the big reveal. Shed is complete. We now have somewhere to store my fertilizers and various things that I need for the pumpkin all year, which is great. And we'll probably also use it as a staging for electrical as we look to bring in a furnace and other stuff in the greenhouse for the pumpkin. So anyway, shed complete. Thanks everybody for watching the channel.
Wow, that's crazy!